Throwaway time. What's your secret that could literally ruin your life if it came out? 2.5 years ago, I was in dire financial straits, so I sold my home to keep my struggling business afloat. I neglected to tell the owners that they have an 800 SQ FT bunker on the property that I built about 7 years ago. The bunker that I've called home since I sold it. The entrance to it is well hidden, but I still come and go very early, very late in the day. I'm a single man who keeps to himself. I'm now in a situation where I could move somewhere else, but I love this hidden paradise so much. Okay, so this is a secret I've kept for nearly 20 years. During the summers when I was growing up, my parents would often leave my brother and I, male, with our aunt and uncle who lived out in the country. It was great as they had 4 sons of ages close to ours, so we had a lot of fun doing kid stuff. One summer when I was 8, the oldest cousin was maybe 16. We somehow got talking and he asked me if I wanted to sleep in his room at night. He has the nicest room and bed, so I was all for it. Got into bed and he asked if he could touch my penis. I was 8 and just thought it was okay, so I let him. He rubs it for a bit and then asks me to do the same to him. So I do. This progresses and eventually I'm sucking as I think I knew this was wrong, so I said I didn't want to carry on. We stop and I go to sleep quite confused. I wake up and he hands me some money and tells me never to tell anyone about what happened. Next night, he tries to do the same thing. But now all I care about is the money. So I do it. This carried on for 2 summers. Eventually, I got old enough to realize it was quite wrong regardless of the money and stopped. I've not told anyone this. He's now married with 2 kids. I'm also married and we see them sometimes at family events. I don't have the balls to even try and talk to him about it. Hell, I'm not even sure what I'd say. I'm sure this will get buried, but just getting it off my chest makes me feel better. TLDR, I was a child hooker. When I was 13 during the summer before I started high school, I was molested by a guy who dragged me into an alley back me into a corner so I couldn't escape, and even if I tried to, I couldn't have because he was taller and stronger than I was, and pulled my pants down. I tried to draw attention to where I was because I'd gone over to a guy's house with my friend because she liked him, and when we went he just happened to have a friend there to hang out with me while they went off and did whatever. Anyway, I tried to shout and make as much noise as I could and the guy goes, "This would be easier if you were laying down," and tried to force me to the ground. Then my friend finally shows up and goes, "OMG, my name, what are you doing?" And the guy obviously doesn't go, "Oh yeah, no, I was trying to rape her, this was my idea." But instead goes, "She was trying to have sex with me, ha ha ha," and just walks away. Then my friend doesn't believe me when I tell her he dragged me into the alley because she disappeared well before anyone could see him pulling on my arm with both hands and me trying to resist it as much as I could. I never told anyone because I didn't want them to react the same way my friend did. I think about it a lot and every day I say maybe this will be the day I finally tell my parents what happened, and then I never do. That was almost 6 years ago. My friend and I no longer speak, but I'd stopped being friends with her maybe 5 or 6 months after that because she told a couple of our other friends that I tried to have sex with a guy I'd known for all of 5 minutes during the summer. I can't bring myself to type it out again, so copy/pasted the relevant part from the other place I posted this. I can't promise coherence. Even after all these years it still cuts deep, and I'm probably going to wind up rambling like I did the first and only other time I talked about it. 10 years ago, when I was 7, my parents worked shift work in the military, since their schedules didn't match up very well. It wasn't uncommon for them both to be working at 2 p.m., 2 a.m. shift. As such, I had a babysitter. She was an old friend of my mother's, wonderful woman. She was the type who seemed to have the compulsion to feed everyone who came through her door. Matronly is the word I'm aiming for, I think. Anyway, she and her husband, along with their adopted daughter, were Christian. I tagged along to church with them a couple times, but it only furthered my atheistic leanings, which had already been in place. In time, I politely turned down the offer to accompany them, instead staying home with their adopted son. At the time, he was about as old as I am now. We shared similar interests, namely playing Super Nintendo games and listening to loud music. Since the house was free of anyone to complain about it, we did so with abandon. I honestly don't remember how it started anymore. To the best of my recollection, he asked me to go with him into the bathroom to show me something. I was 7, naive, and he was a cool guy I looked up to. Naturally, I followed without question. The first time, he showed me what was. At the time, of course, it was just how to get your thing hard, but whatever. A few times after that, we'd do that when the others left, then go back to our gaming. Something always clawed at me, the feeling that something was wrong. He was older than me though. And he was cool, it must be what the cool kids did, right? Slowly but surely, though, he escalated things. At first it was mutual, I still didn't really know what was going on, but I jerked him and he jerked me. It couldn't stop there, of course, and eventually built to him blowing me. After that happened a few times, he wanted me to return the favor. Again, I still didn't really grasp what was going on, but I tried. I hated the taste and wound up refusing. After that happened a couple times, he would force me. I just started to go blank, I guess. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't think or feel, I just let him use my mouth until he was satisfied and would jerk into tissue to finish himself off. This went on for a while until my babysitter began to grow suspicious. He had made me promise not to tell anyone about our special time, and at that age a promise was something you didn't break for anything. That said, I just denied anything being wrong anytime my babysitter asked. Eventually, she grew too concerned and, despite knowing nothing for certain, had my mom find an alternative sitter. Since then, he's gone through therapy. He admitted to having issues, apparently, but never spoke a word of what actually happened. I'm pretty sure it fucked me up good, honestly. I never really properly appreciated the deep scars sexual abuse leaves on a victim until I looked back on my life with that in mind. I buried it for years and tried to pretend I was normal, but I was definitely different. I was a lot more melancholy and have had a few streaks of depression. I've never really been too certain of my sexuality. I'm scared to death of sex, honestly, and I think it's because part of me is afraid that I'll wind up just as abusive as he was. It helped a lot, opening up to my girlfriend. It doesn't haunt me like it used to, and I don't always feel like such a freak. It's helped strengthen our trust, and she's agreed to take things as slowly as I need to be comfortable. I've since stopped feeling so totally emasculated as well, and it's almost something of a joke to me now. I know, rape isn't funny. The thing is though, you've got to be able to joke about it, even if only to yourself. If you can laugh at something, you can move past it. I can't help but chuckle when I'm arguing with someone, and they tell me to or something to that effect. I can laugh at my own pain, so I can move past it. I don't think I'll ever be who I might have been if it hadn't happened, but I'm okay with that. Realistically, I can't. Even say I'd change it if I could. I'm fit, intelligent, in love, and generally happy with my life. It was terrible, yes, and traumatic, but at least I know this path can lead to happiness. Take the evil you know, right? Anyway, that's my story. It's long, incoherent, and doesn't really have a proper end, but take it how you will. TL Doctor. Played Nintendo, everything turned out okay.